So I started training with Mark about 2 months after last year's regionals. I kind of broke down my own strengths and weaknesses and figured out that power was something that I was missing in my lower body. My leg drive wasn't there for some of the Olympic lifts, certainly not in the deadlift or the squat. And I've known Mark for a few years, and he reached out to me, and we decided to work together. And he's been helping me out ever since. I went to this year's regionals and placed 2 places higher in arguably a tougher year, tougher workouts, and after sustaining an injury. So I had that base of strength to kind of work back and rely on even when I was injured, and even my conditioning wasn't exactly where I needed to be this year. It's been a really good relationship with me and Mark. He's been helping me, coach me on some of the other things that I do, some of my Olympic lifting, giving me some ideas about recovery and nutrition, and really has been like a coach for me. So really appreciate super training and everything we've been doing here.
I've heard you mention that you have a little bit of a bodybuilding background before. So did you mix in bodybuilding and strength training before you ever did CrossFit?
So I did competitive bodybuilding for about 15 years and some powerlifting, and then I really give most of my credit to Camilo for kind of starting. We did CrossFit type stuff.
Camilo Gutierrez, owner of
Midtown Strength and Conditioning, the master. And really, I mean, he would come. We would do a bunch of crazy strength training, and then he would set up. What he would just, hey, we're going to do some conditioning, and it would be the equivalent of some sort of a CrossFit WOD, but we didn't know what CrossFit was at the time, you know.
So are you trying to say that some just basic powerlifting and strength movements helped your CrossFit?
Oh my gosh! you know what? A good thing, because nobody would want me on my team, on their team, if I wasn't strong.
What I find interesting about what we do today is after we got ourselves exhausted through the squat and the deadlift, then we started to do our Olympic lifts. And what happens then, you're in an exhausted state. Normally with an Olympic weightlifting workout, you'll do your cleans or your snatches first, and then your squats and deadlifts are your assistance lifts. So when you come here exhausted after doing squats and deadlifts first, you can't make the excuse, well, I did squats and deads first. Because that's the real life of competition. You know, we had a saying, you're going to train as you fight. So we would put ourselves in exhausted states and then execute similar exercises when I was in the Army, so that in that way I see parallels between the way that we train here and the way that we prepare ourselves for competitions. You don't hear guys making the excuse, oh, I didn't get a lot of sleep, or oh, I'm a little off today, because everybody here is preparing for those competitions and trying to take that experience back to their gyms. We're all trying to move the best we can, and we're not feeling our best.
Oh, well, first backstory, I've been a CrossFitter for 7 years, since 2007. And is that 7 years? I hope that's 7 years. And before that, well, bodybuilder most of my young adult life. And you know, I got strong functionally to a certain degree, but we knew we had to turn it up because everybody just keeps getting bigger and stronger every year. And we knew that the only way to really do that was to focus on the squat and the deadlift. And we knew we had a world-class power lifter in our backyard. So we came over here and just surrendered to Mark and said, you know, we're just gonna eat, sleep, you know, do whatever you tell us to do.
On a more personal level, just coming down here and having somebody else be in charge is nice. And being with guys like Ben and Justin and Travis and Arturo, it's just special. You know, you don't get to train with people that are at that level all the time. You know, they're all doing their own businesses, you know, training their own clients. So the fact that we can all come together here and push each other in this type of environment, which is really raw, you know, it's raw, exposed, not a lot of frills, which is great, you know, because when you're trying to get strong, that's what you need.
We've been working over the last few weeks on the Olympic lifts, and from advice from Max Aeta, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for as not only an Olympic lifter and a great Olympic lifting coach, but also as a power lifter. That guy has squatted 705 pounds, weighing 220 in a powerlifting meet, ass rubbing on the ground, leaving a poop stain on the platform. Just unbelievable strength from Max Aeta, and he's a hardcore dude. He's been around a long time. He's worked with some great athletes, and he's worked with some great coaches. So he's my go-to guy in Olympic lifting. And as you're going to see in this footage, there's some Olympic lifting going on. Well, guess what? The people's coach knows absolutely nothing about Olympic lifting, nor will I ever claim to. But what we do is, when we have these guys do their Olympic lifts, we try to have them share ideas with each other. We try to have them coach each other through it, because most of them have learned at least some of the basics of Olympic lifting, and they can teach and coach each other. But Max is somebody I like to lean on here and there. Never be afraid as a coach, and never be afraid as an athlete to go above and beyond your means and go to somebody that you feel is superior to you. It's okay to say that. It's okay. Max Aeta is superior to me when it comes to coaching Olympic lifting. I can admit that. That's okay. And when you find that person, don't be afraid to utilize them. If you know someone who's going to help coach your athletes a little bit better in a powerlifting movement, or you know a coach that's going to help somebody prepare for a bodybuilding show, or maybe running's not your thing, and you know someone that can help an athlete out with going to do a marathon, then don't be foolish. Don't be hard-headed. And don't think that you know it all and that you can save everybody on everything. My thing is strength. That's what I know. I know a junk load about like diet. I know some shit about nutrition and stuff like that too, but I'm not a nutritionist. That's not my thing. That's not my bag. My thing is to get people stronger, and so that's what I work on. As per his advice, I've been having my guys doing some squat cleans with 5-second pauses. That shit is brutal. 5-second pause in the hole of that squat clean can be just absolutely brutal. And you're going to see the kind of weights these guys are handling. They're doing pretty damn good. They're doing the best they can with that 5-second pause. You're also going to see some of the guys cheat. They're down there for 3-4 seconds and they come up a little early, or they hippity hop. They push up and then they bounce. They rebound again and go back down, kind of ruining the entire point of the exercise. But as you'll see, while they're doing this, you're not going to see me make negative comments about that kind of thing, because I don't want to damper their intensity. I want to see good intensity. I want to make sure no one's getting hurt. That's always crucial. But I want to see good intensity. So if a guy's got to cheat to do an extra 10 pounds, then so what? He did the work on the set before, a little bit more legitimate, then we're all good. If the guy starts cheating even on the warm-ups, then we got some issues going on. But the whole goal, the entire goal, is very simple on what we're doing with these guys. We're just trying to make them stronger. And by throwing the Olympic lifts towards the end, keep in mind on this day 2, when Chad Augustine joined us, and Jenny, I almost forgot about Jenny. Sorry, guys. I know she's a SuperTraining.tv favorite and a Power Project favorite just because of obvious reasons. But anyway, in that footage where you see them training with us, the squat clean was dead last. It was the last thing we did. We did deadlifts, and we did squats, and then we did the squat clean. And it's not uncommon for me to put these guys through the ringer and do squats, deadlifts, and more squats. Or squats, deadlifts, and then more deadlifts. It's very common for us to do that kind of stuff. I only see them 1 time a week, so I'm trying to have the biggest impact on them that I can. We want to get into something. We want to stimulate the nervous system. We want to recruit as many high-threshold motor units as we can, aka recruit as much muscle mass as we can, and have them use as much fast-twitch fibers as they can so they can learn to explode in the weights, and have them just grind out some heavy-ass shit. And when we're done with that, we want to just move on to the next thing. And how many times can they do that in a workout? I've seen them be able to do it about 2 times. So if there's a 3rd barbell exercise like there was with the squat clean, then there has to be a modification done to the lift itself, or something needs to change slightly so that the weights aren't so heavy. And so what we did was we did a 5-second pause. That 5-second pause is teaching them about where they need to be in the bottom in order to come back up. You see the great Olympic lifters, they're able to stabilize when they're down there in the hole. It doesn't matter if their knee comes in. It doesn't matter if their foot points out too far. It doesn't matter if they stumble or falter, they still come up with the weight. And you sit there and you watch it and you go, no effing way is this dude going to stand up with the weight. And sure enough, he embarrasses the hell out of you by standing up with the weight with no problem. And so that's what we're trying to work on when we're doing those pauses down in there. And box squatting, there's tons of controversy about box squatting. Why do we box squat? We box squat for many reasons. We get to tap into the hamstrings a little bit more. We get to not get so forward on our quads. We get to make sure that we're going to a certain depth each and every time, because as the weights increase, you'll see many guys will start to squat higher and higher. We're also squatting a little bit wider, tapping into the hips a little bit more. And it's also just a different type of squat. I tell people all the time, you know, people want to make a big deal about the box squat and try to bash it and try to bash some of the principles of West Side Barbell or Louis Simmons. And I think they're wrong in doing so. West Side Barbell is highly established. Louis Simmons, you know, you can't say enough about what he's done with his team. So there's really no arguing there on whether the box squat works. But people will say, oh, I'm not going to use a box when I go to a meet. Well, you know what? You're not going to do a front squat when you go to a meet too. You know, there's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to actually do. You know, you need to just relax and realize that some of these things work. They're highly effective. A box squat can help anyone. You don't have to box squat all the time, but a box squat can be beneficial to everyone. Some of the things that make a box squat great are some of the things that make the box squat not so great. The fact that the box squat will make you less sore is great. The fact that the box squat makes you less sore may not be so great, because maybe you need to work some of those smaller muscle groups. Maybe you need to get into the groin a little bit more in order to increase your squat, your raw squat, that power out of the hole. Maybe for you, maybe you need pause squats. So you need to really work on sinking your squats down in there. But guess what? On some off weeks or some other weeks, really try to work on some box squats. Just employ them as a supplemental movement is fine. You can kind of mix them in wherever you want. But it's a great lift. We've had great success with it in my gym, and we are going to continue to do them because all we keep seeing is PRs everywhere else. And that's what we're after. We're after not only just the guys getting stronger, but we want to see improvement everywhere. That's what we're trying to do. Sounds impossible. Sounds retarded. But that is what we were trying to do. We're trying to have these guys' times get better. We're trying to increase the amount of weight that they're able to lift. One more thing I forgot to add. We had Leif Larson in this group as well on day one, and he's from a CrossFit in Reno, Nevada. But many of these lifters that you're seeing in this video are coaches, and many of them are gym owners. Blair Morrison owns 3 gyms. Ben Alderman owns 2. The East Sacramento guys, they own East Sacramento. They own East Sacramento CrossFit. Travis and Justin, and Arturo Fernandez owns a CrossFit in Sacramento as well. So these are great athletes. On top of being great athletes, these are also just real people with real jobs, with real lives, with significant others, with kids, and so on and so forth. And they're in there still getting it done. So make sure that when you're in your pursuit of excellence, that you're not using excuses and that you're exhausting every single thing that you have available to you. There might be a good coach down the street that you have not seen yet. Go see them. There might be somebody down the street who might be really highly regarded in massage therapy, and they might be able to help you with your elbow. Go see them. Don't be foolish. Make sure you're using all these. There's a lot of great things out there nowadays with the interwebs and the YouTubes. You can simply go to supertraining.tv. You can go to mobilitywod.com, and you can check out some of these great things. You can go to powerwod.com, which is run by my boy, Jesse Burdick. That also has tons of great information. Multiply your hustle and multiply your muscle, and that is it from supertraining.tv.